Take one. Granny, if there was one story you could give to the future, what would it be?
There's so many stories I like to give to the future. Now, at 74 years old, it seems to me that the one thing I want the future to know is the true story of segregation. And I think that story can only be told by the children who were the first of this experiment for segregation. The first children who went into integrated schools. And I think that story should be told not only by black children, it should be told by white children too, because it was a new experience for them, for both races. Depending on what your history was and what you've been taught all your life, you came in with a perspective based on what you've heard all your life. And so it was only until you had the experience, and I'm speaking of white kids now, it's only until you had the experience of actually dealing day to day with black people as equal that you find out that black people are just people too. And the same thing is true of the black children. Because we had been reared to believe that white people were so much better than we were, it was only until we entered the classroom and sat next to them in the classroom, in the same environment, with the same teachers and the same equipment and the same books, were we able to see that we were just as equal to them as anyone else. So that is what I think the world needs to know, and I think the world needs to hear it from us, the very first kids to enter into integration. And I think that white kids should not hide from this. Well, whites of my generation should not hide from it. Just tell it like it was. If you initially didn't want to sit next to a black kid, because this is what you had heard all your life about them, negative things all your lives about them, then tell that story. It's just the truth. There's no hiding from it.
I believe we're losing
Let's talk about how I got to writing.
Okay, yeah.
I've always wanted to write. When I was a kid, I wanted to write, but I could not figure out a way that I could write and make a living.
Yeah.
So I had to take an alternate route. So I taught school. My mother said, if you can't do it, you can teach it.
There you go.
So I taught. And I taught for over 20 years. And after I taught and I retired, and I used to write things, little stories about what was going on in my house, and I put it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And my readers would laugh about it, and one day they said, you should write a book. And my classmates, my old friends, we all got together on Facebook and shit. They said, you should write a book. So I did. I wrote a book. And I actually wrote that book, the first book, The Secrets of the Growers.
Yeah.
I wrote that about my grandparents and their 9 children.
Well, yeah.
But I wrote it fictional.
Yeah.
Because it's too hard to write about real things.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
So I wrote it as a fiction. And I actually wrote that book for about 10 people. 10 people who wanted to read to write, so I wrote it. And I was so excited when I finished it until I actually published it, self-published that book, without ever having it edited or anything. I just published the book.
Yeah.
And everybody was so anxious to get the book, and so when I passed the book out, and then other people wanted to read it and they wanted to buy the book.
Yeah.
And so I had more books published, and I sold those books, and then there were more and more and more people. And so finally my friend said, Alvin, Jean, stop, get the book edited.
Yeah.
there's some mistakes in it. So have it professionally edited. And so I did that. I wrote the book on the rack, and then I had it edited and republished. And then so many people bought the book until they started saying things to me like, you can't leave us here.
Can't leave us hanging.
Yeah, we need to know more about these people because they related to those people. And so I wrote the second book. And what is the second book? Whispers Among the Willows.
Yeah.
Okay, same family, new experiences.
Yeah.
And so same thing happened with that. So I ended up writing another book, and then another book, and then another book. And so I'm up to my fifth book.
Yeah.
And I don't see that as the last one. There are some stories I want to tell. I'd love to write the story of my mother's life. A difficult story, because she did not have an easy life.
Yeah.
But I'd like to write that story about her life. And some other books that I'd like to write as well. So, as I said, 74, I expect to live another 30 years. So I have time to get that done.
Yes, ma'am. I was looking forward to it. Was there any advice for those aspiring people who continue to still look to their future, look for the next 30 years and say, I still have this, this, and this I want to get done. I still have this, this, and this I want to get better at?
There's always, every day you wake up, you're given a new opportunity to do new things. And you have to look at it that way, that I have a new opportunity. Look back at your past, for sure. And the past is your past. It's what made you the person you are now. But always wake up, every day, this is a new experience. I see a new sunshine. Some days I wake up and I grudge and I think, it's a new day. I gotta start appreciating today.
Yeah.
If it's raining, I'm gonna appreciate the rain.
Yeah.
If the sun is out, I'm gonna appreciate the sunshine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna thank God for the people around me. Thank God for the people who love me. Thank God for the people I love.
Yeah.
Thank God for my life. And that's what I would tell people. Thank God for everything around you. There's not the material things, but the things that you can't touch.
Yeah.
You know. Thank God for that, and keep on progressing. And when it seems like you're going backwards, keep on stepping forward. You know, and you'll get there.
Yeah. Thank you. That's beautiful, amazing insight and wisdom. I appreciate you again, Granny, for taking out your time to be able to tell this story and being able to give wisdom not only to me again, but to those who will be able to have the great opportunity to watch this here in the future. So thank you all again for taking the opportunity to sit here and listen out and take my amazing story through my amazing family. So tune in for next time and all the great things we have to come.